Hello, everyone, and I hope you're enjoying your evening or morning where you are. We're just gonna be following this game as it goes here. Canada versus Uzbekistan. I unfortunately will answer the question immediately. I do not have a link, but I do. If I have find a link where you can watch the game, I will give it to you so you guys can enjoy. But we are here to watch Canada versus Uzbekistan in nice friendly heading right before the game. However means you guys are planning on watching, it'll be a good time regardless. As you can see, I am repping Canada here. I am Canadian. We will be watching, following this as we go. But this game is set to get going in about 8 minutes, and a few things to keep in mind. It is raining there. So it's going to be a little bit of a wet game. So I'm hoping everyone here is able to get out of the game rather healthy. No growing pulls, no strains, nothing in the ACL tears. I'm hoping everyone gets out of this game healthy right before the World Cup as it runs. Let me throw to you the lineups as they stand. I'm going to throw it over to Sofa Score for you here, just so you can take a look at this here. So for CAD, you have Maxime Crépeau in the net, Alistair Johnson, Derek Cornelius, Moise Bombito, Richie Laryea, Ishmael Kone, Tejan Buchanan, and then you have Jonathan David, Liam Miller, and our boy Kyle Laren. That's for Canada. It is listed as a 4-3-3, but it is a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2 there. For Uzbekistan, you have, if I say your names wrong, guys, I apologize. But we're going to do this as well as we can. We have Nematov in net. We have Safiev as your left center back. You have Kusanov as your middle center back. You have Ashmuratov as your right center back. Abdulev as your right wing back, Kamrok Bakev as your central midfielders, as well as Shukurov as your other central midfielder, with Nazrulev as your left wing back. Your two on behind your one, you have Ornov, and then Ganiev. Again, sorry if I mispronounced it. And Shomarov Dov as your striker. So they're looking, it's going to look more like a 3-4-3 versus a 4-4-2 here, sitting in that lineup here. And that's what we're having here as we sit. Again, in Canada, this is on TSN and on other places. If you are looking for a place to watch this outside of there, there are some sites which are always reliable for me, but this is an interesting matchup for me, and I got here a little bit late, so I won't have enough time to go through my entire breakdown of what I was saying. But for Uzbekistan, I'll start with them because they're the new team. I think it's great to see them at the World Cup. I've made some comparisons in my mind in terms of who they are. They're a team, if you've been following a lot of the youth tournaments coming, they've been there and they've been knocking. Not quite winning, say, a FIFA U17 or a FIFA U20, but they've been there performing well in the groups, round of 16 type solid side. I like different comparisons. In Africa, I think they'd be a good comparison for their program would be Mali, except now they've actually taken this step, right? If you look at Mali at the youth level, there's a lot of strong youth teams, but then just have been able to put it together at the national team level. With Uzbekistan, you've seen the youth teams over the last 3, 4, 5 years starting to develop, and then you're seeing the culmination of that, them making this World Cup here. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do. I don't know what their expectations could be in terms of that. They are in a group with, as we can see, as we've stopped it here, they are in a group with Portugal, DR Congo, and confirming Group K is scrolling all the way down, Colombia. And so I think with that, it's not an impossible group. I mean, Colombia will definitely test them with the attack, but what you saw through them during their World Cup qualifiers was a solid team that could get the timely goals that they needed, solid defensively, built from the back up, but don't underestimate the offensive talent with them. And I think for that, third place isn't an impossible reach. And I guess you have the Colombias and the Portugals in your side, but once the ball is dropped, right? If you come in with a good say, and the thing that you'll learn, I think, in this World Cup specifically is it's going to be a running game, right? It's going to be a game, I think, where teams who are disciplined, good defensively, and teams that can find their timely goals, those are going to be the teams that can make it through. So you don't need to outscore everyone. You just need to make sure you have one goal more than the next team. And I think that's going to be great. And I think against a Canadian side today, who I'm supporting, who wants to press, who wants to get on top of the ball, I think it's going to be a good challenge for them to see, can they handle the physicality. I think the rain definitely will um, limit how much Canada wants to run turnover. But in conditions like this, it's certainly going to be a game where you think, okay, is a mistake coming? Can you recover from that? Can you stay in your lanes, for lack of better words? Are your triangles set? All those things will matter. Set pieces will also be a major factor in this game today. And I think that'll be really fun to kind of see for Canada. They're going out west again on the second last tour stop before the World Cup. And I think Uzbekistan is a solid side because I think the one thing for Canada that they've done over the last few of their friendlies, challenging teams that have a strong defensive mindset and proving if they can actually break it down. Now, goals in open play have left much to be desired. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, that's what you have to do. You have to be able to score those goals, or you have to be able to do the best in those moments when you're given those opportunities. So for me, what I'm looking forward to see for Canada is, with their starting 11, are they able to push through and create something, not just in the open play, but can the pressure be prolonged? Also, in a game versus a team that will be solid defensively, who are your creators? Can your creators create a moment of brilliance? And that's where I look at a player. I think Canada's best player from start of European to end of the European scene has been Ishmael Kone. Not the name that most would look, but if you look at how consistently he played, he's the player. And I think it's going to come down to him in a game like this, where can he have a moment of brilliance, whether it's picking a lock or whether it's unleashing a distance shot that tests the goalie and works from there. I am looking forward to see what that game could bring and what it can produce. But ultimately, I think it's a solid matchup for both sides. I mean, I really do think it's a good matchup for both sides. So I'm looking forward to it in terms of what the game can show, what the game can bring up. I think it's a good challenge for both sides. And I've been thinking, I know a lot of Canadians are hoping this is a win. I'm not going to go. I would like an entertaining game. I know a 2-2 draw some Canadians will lose our minds over that. But to me, look, if you're going to give up two versus Uzbekistan, how those two come in it's a very different conversation. And so I think for them, I think Canada, I'm going for a 2-2 draw is my prediction. I'm just scurrying around it. I'm going for a 2-2 draw ultimately. But we'll see what comes of this game as we near the kickoff moment here. Actually, let me see if this stream is up. Let me see if I can find this stream here. But let me close you. All right. Yeah, I can see the grass, fresh grass, but it is raining and it's supposed to rain throughout this game. And so that is definitely something to keep an eye on. I think passes will be a little bit slick, but then also I think in a press, one bad touch can go the other way. So I think Canada will definitely try to get on top of the center backs. But hey, if there's one thing Uzbekistan does have, they have solid defenders. So I don't know if they will worry about it too much. But we'll see what happens with it as we go, as we can see the people who are in the comments as well. I don't have my Duolingo on me today, but I will do my best. I see you, Java Dash. Let's go, Canada. It's a big game. The game before everything gets going. I do agree. And we're going to see what they're able to do with it. So we're going to get our screen here ready to go. And let me see, get my stream up and ready to go. Maro Ravello turn was fun. It was always a fun time. All right. Perfect. Nothing. All right. Let's get to it. See if we got our streams ready to go. It's good to be able to get the goals. I mean, the games. I mean, the access is always good. Gives us the opportunity to watch, and I think it's a big moment for it. I know there's so much around this World Cup, which is not necessarily the most exciting, but definitely it does give us the opportunity to at least watch and take through. So we are here. I see 24 of you, and I'm not a big. If you want to like, feel free to. If you want to subscribe, hey, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna try to be here for as many games as I can over this World Cup. So that's both gonna be covering Canada. My channel used to be known as the African, so we did Canadian African content. So if you see me covering African football, that's why. Or if you hear like, why is this a new thing? No, it's just still me. This is the old African channel. It's just here. So we are here. We are waiting for the game to get going. And we are here waiting to see. And let's take a look to see what we got when we get going. All righty. Let me see, get my action here. Perfect. Hezzy's up. I see you. All righty. But as you guys in, guys, give me your score predictions for today. What is your prediction for this game? Drop your scores in the comments as we go. We got our bug going through, and we're gonna get the stream going to keep an eye on everything here as we go. But we should be here. We should be getting some action just shortly here. Let's get it going. Alrighty. All right, we out here. Wait, Chafer, listen, a lot. Listen, Woodbridge is in tears. Okay, Woodbridge. There are some tears going in for Woodbridge. I won't lie to you. So, we'll see. But hey, maybe you went to the jersey swap / jersey gifting. Hey, and you got yourself a new one. Good for you if you did. Good for you if you did. Marco, well done. You win. You win comment of the day so far. Definitely. See, always a D-gen going from the front off to score. You know what? I'm not mad. I think I think there will be goals in this game, but I don't think it's going to be lopsided. That's why I went with like a 2-2 would put some Canadians into a bit of a frenzy, saying, "How can you draw Uzbekistan?" I'm like, no, they're better than they expect. Right? So I'm going with a 2-2 draw. I'm going to be entertained. That's what I'm going for. And we'll see if it holds up. It's a wet affair in Edmonton because that is the reality that we have. All right, getting crouch. So we are probably a few minutes behind, probably a little wet. We got ponchos galore in this crowd. But hey, like we'll go out for a good time. And hey, it's for a lot of us in Canada, this is the affordable ticket to the World Cup, the games before the World Cup. So ooh, that's a whole conversation in itself. But we're not gonna. That's true. That is true. That's true. But let's go through some of these comments here as we're waiting, as we're getting ready to get through the anthems here. Pedro Fernando says, "I'm disappointed with the loss of Marcelo Flores." I am too. I definitely had a moment where I was watching the Maurice Ravello Cup today, and I was like, "That's the first time I actually properly sat down and watched the lad." And on the eve of the World Cup, after all the switches, he switches back to Canada, and we're like, "Okay, here we go." And then Non-contact injuries are just we all saw that and we said, "Ah, please no." But it was, and you feel for him because the boy was playing, was contributing in this. I would say, but for you, like, who do you think should replace them? Because I have a theory in terms of how many replacements actually get in. Because I think I've seen a lot of people saying, do they bring Jebison? Do they bring Prizo? Do they bring Nelson? I think two of them are coming. That's my opinion, and that's because I think someone else isn't healthy. But we'll go through those as we're waiting for like the one clever thing with it. So for those who aren't aware, up until the team's first game, you can swap out injured players. And so there's a degree where it's a classy move to include people who are fighting to make the roster, but they technically have the flexibility to go through. And I don't know why. I hope not. But then it's also a tough injury to come back from. They just lost Flores, so I think you're looking at a Nelson, even possibly a Junior Hoylett to come in. I'm watching Jacob Schaffelberg. Like, I'm watching him to see if he's actually going to be fit because I think there's a possibility that it's Nelson and Hoylett, Nelson and Jebison, Hoylett and Jebison. I think two attacking players are coming because unfortunately we lost one to injury, but then also it's I feel like they're not fully healthy, and then you're going to be watching like Bombito starting is great, but I mean, you're watching Alfie Jones now and hoping, okay, let's see. You want to see Promise David today. I think if he's able to go today, that calms a lot of us in terms of, okay, good, we can breathe now. But if he's not, you got a Jebison that's ready and waiting there, and we'll go from there. But that's my theory. But I'm willing to listen to anyone else on that as the anthems are going. Gearing up for some World Cup. Looks like it's still raining in Edmonton. It is still raining in Edmonton. The rain is falling. Right. So let's go Disney Channel. Let the rain fall down. Right. Uzbek is solid side. I do agree with you, Java, but Canada needs to get into form from now to a good run. I agree. But it starts with a good showing today, and they're gonna have to do against teams that want to do that. So we'll see what happens with that. Marco, yep. Traditional soccer countries missing this World Cup. Weird that Nigeria and Cameroon didn't make it. Also, I'd also put Serbia and Russia. Yes, Russia. For reasons, they said. No, I think if you because I watch a lot of African football, I'll say the interesting with African football is there aren't as many A-list African players on those traditional teams. Nigeria is always going to be a query because Nigeria is always between the ears. They are the one they are pound for pound one of the most talented teams on the continent, but it's always between the ears, and that's federation, a bunch of stuff. Cameroon just weren't solid, right? That's just the reality of it, right? And in Africa, the middle class teams are starting to take their steps. Like Cape Cape Verde definitely are pushing through. Like teams like Tunisia even could have had a tougher time, but rules kind of placed them off. South Africa performing how they do isn't a surprise because they've always been a solid side. They've one of the best leagues in Africa, just don't have necessarily the world talent to do it. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, I do agree with you, John Patrick. Imagine getting the news on a Thursday, 2 days later, non-contact. That is just you felt for it, man. You really did felt for the lad. But hey, it's tough. Right now we got the Canadian anthem going on. True. Yeah, the Russia bit. If it gets looked for hockey, which it's sounding like it's headed towards, if not already, I haven't actually read to see if it is. FIFA is FIFA is not the humanitarian organization. FIFA is very much a don't mess with our name, don't mess with our money. Everything else, they're just like, actually, no. FIFA is no one who's not in the soccer organization can do things. So even if the government stepped in and said there's corruption happening, FIFA will be like, that's third party involvement. You're now banned. But they'll be like, but they were smuggling money all over the place. You'll be like, no, third party, no. Only they can deal with this. And so FIFA is always going to be odd and weird like that. But all righty. The anthems are sung. The anthems are sung. Canada in their red and white, Uzbek in their, I mean, sorry, the red kits, white numbers, Uzbekistan in their white kits, blue numbers. Again, we know Max Crepeau is going to start the first half, and then Dane St. Clair is going to come in the second half. I might as well get this out of the way. Who do you guys have starting? Who do you want starting as your goalkeeper? Who do you want starting as your goalkeeper? That is the question of the day because I listen. I've heard everyone tell me everyone, but again, for Canada, you have Lorraine, Cornelius, Bombito, Johnston in the middle, Miller, Kone, Stachio, and Buchanan up top, Kyle Laren and Joe David with Max Crepeau in goal, and the 4-4-2 are really a 4-2-2-2. So that is for Canada. Canada's getting their group photo taken in the Reds. You gotta love the Reds. Kone took out the braids, living life. Hey man, no rain delay. Current day, Craig Forrest, John. Hey. I know he's got the gusto to do it, but I don't. Have you seen his lateral movements? Current day, Craig. If we could bring Craig Forrest from then, hey, I might be interested in that. But I do agree they do need to be in sync tonight, Pedro, on that. But we'll take a look at that as we go. Marco Lookman and Usman at the Score Cup would have been cool. It would be, but you gotta don't draw Lesotho. Like I will harshly say this to teams. You'll put in the ass step, John, and then let us know because hey, if he's still getting those Pilates lessons in, like I might take a 20 minutes from Craig Forrest. I might take 20 minutes from Craig Forrest for that. And Uzbekistan, as we said, in their 3-4-2-1, 3-4-3. Uh, this is gonna be yeah. I'm curious to see them. I mean, I think the first time I remember watching them, they beat Canada like 3 or 4-0 at the U17s. This was like 22 or 23, one of those 2 years. But before that, they were always showing up at U17s, and then with the new U17 format, they're there every year. But yeah, it's gonna be a great game. They brought in the grass, laid the grass down, and it's gonna be a slick game. So this is gonna be definitely a game. Weighted passes are gonna be everything here. And being careful on the sprints because we're gonna find out a lot about the health of some of these legs here. Also, Richie, no reds, Richie. No reds. That's all I ask, Richie. No reds. So Davies isn't technically well, based off what Marsh said in previous press conference, Davies actually won't be ready till into the World Cup. So we're talking about first game or possibly second game, more than likely, maybe third game. And so I don't see it coming. I don't see him playing in the friendlies just based off of what's coming for him and what the health of his leg is. So he probably won't be starting. I say best case scenario, he gets a cameo against Qatar and then Switzerland. Maybe he goes for a half, and if Canada makes out of the groups from there, then I think it gets very good for him there. But that's what I project for Davies at this moment. No problem, no problem. As Canada is moving the ball. So full disclosure, my stream is behind the screen. So if I'm giving commentary and it says someone scored, this is the life I live. This is the life I live. All right, so we got Johnston setting it up. You got There we go. A long ball to Buchanan, but he gets the ball in, and a deep throw in from Canada coming up here. But looks like they're going to try to go direct here with approaching Kone with the ball passing. Johnson heads it, but not deep enough. Stackio back to the corner, and ball is cleared, but not quite out. See, this is what happens when you know you've been watching too many Stanley Cup playoff games. You're just saying clear but not out. And a yellow immediately, an immediate yellow against Uzbekistan. I haven't even had to argue about refs yet. Derek Cornelius a little bit slow to get up here, but he's looking all right. Yeah, on the stud. That's definitely a yellow. My controversial take on refs is I don't need them to be perfect. I needed them to be consistent. Therefore, if it's a yellow in the first minute, it needs to be a yellow in the 91st. Or consequently, if I can punch someone in the first minute with no regards, I expect to be able to throw my fist in the 91st. That is what I say. All right, so Tejan, you got Stackio, Kone looking nice through, almost through. And easy save there from the Uzbek keeper. Tayshaun playing on frame. I think this is a game for both 17 and 8 for me for Canada, right? Tajan as well as Uzbekistan. I mean, and Ishmael Kone. I think it's a game for those two. They need to really be. It's again, yes, Stackio needs to be in sync as well with the middle. They're gonna have to break down some solid defensive play, but for me, I want to see something good out of those two players today. So here we have Uzbekistan on the break coming in, passing, but dealt with well. Kone tracking back defensively. Ball out and a throw in coming in for Canada. This is very interesting, but yeah, we'll get to everything. I would love to see Davies play in the Premier League. That's a far more athletic league than the Bundesliga. Like the Bundesliga is an athletic league, but it's a league where your athletes really do stand out. I would I would like to see Davies and the stop start of the injuries have really hampered some of his development, but I wanted him to take like one more step technically before he makes a move like that. That would be my opinion. I don't know what you think about that because I think the pace is always going to be there until it's not. And so a player like that, you want to make sure that he's the thinking player and can move the ball well through there. And so I think as a more than just pace and dribbling, but more just technical dribbling, I would love to see more of that from him before a move going there. But let's get to the ball. Another free kick coming here for Canada. The ref is quick on this call, and I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about that at all. So we are in the 5th minute. I'm about 30 seconds off from this thing here, so I'm a little behind, but we're gonna enjoy it as we go. We got Cornelius moving the ball around. Liam Miller with the ball. I think this game is good for him. Congrats to him making it to the Prem. Here you go, Coney on the ball to Miller, but couldn't handle the first pass. First touch was off. Stackio steps in. Liam puts it in. Kone playing it down. Laren looking. Laren probing, looking, holding up. Too far on the pass, but back to Larea. Larea turn. Gives it to Liam Miller. Stackio looking. Nothing. Nothing building here. Cornelius back to Stackio. Stackio surveying. Down to Kone in the middle. Kone passing out to Alistair Johnston. Johnson Bombito. Bombito back to Cornelius. We're just picking up all the free kicks today. It's great. Kone with the ball, tripped up, and a free kick. Here we are. Alrighty, all right. So free kick coming up for Canada. Alistair moving it back. Tejan closed out quickly. Stachio moving it out to Derek Cornelius. Richie pushing up. Liam Miller on the half turn, looking Stachio. Nice threaded ball, but Joe Davi doesn't get to it, and the ball is taken there from you got Bombito getting it back to Johnson. Johnson moving the ball over. There we go. Kone with a good turn. Not many options. Stachio put it out to Liam Miller. Miller looking. Oof, we're gonna get to that. And just the passes are just weighted off. And now we have a 1v. That's not good. 1v1 with the keeper and chipped it off. That was some interesting defending. Bombito goes down, slips, and a 1v1 with the keeper that is chipped off. Canada gets let off early. That was, I mean, if you watch the Tunisia game, it was that without Liam Miller saving you. It, and those are some of the chances. Those types of breaks I feel are going to be there. And I think a break like that, I don't think you're going to start Ralph Prizo, but it won't hurt. I think breaks like that, you look and say maybe he can erase some of those opportunities if there's a spot available for him. It's definitely something to keep in mind, but I feel like how Canada plays, if they aren't careful with their passing, they've given up those passes in the Argentina game. They've given up those breaks against Tunisia, here against Uzbekistan. It's not that they're bad defensively, they're very leaky defensively, and they leave themselves susceptible to a counter and not counter opportunities, just a counter where it's just man versus goalie. Here we go. Chip back inside, back, but nothing. Here we go. Tejan looking. I think the pitch is definitely affecting the weight of the passes. Tejan puts it in. Alistair looking. And another free kick for Canada. We're just he certainly still got those tricky feet. I do agree, John Patrick, but this ref is quick on the whistle. Now, listen, this cost us $1 billion. Some of this better have gone to the refs. That's what I say. Oh, goodness. All right, so we got the free kick coming here. I know we're a little bit behind here, but here we go. Stack puts it into the middle, easily punched away by the keeper. Another yellow against them. This is yeah, this is like this is what this is they're stacking them. Like at this point, I think three more yellows, they get a free coffee. Is that what it goes like? No, I'm sorry, that's the Reds. Like the women are two Reds away from a free coffee. Those them's be the rules. But here we go, free kick. Stacchio puts it in, not quite deep enough. You know what these free kicks need? Stephen Vittoria standing on the other side of the box. That's what they need. And Alistair Johnston, both fullbacks on the same side, but poor crossing, dealt with by the defense. Alistair pushing in, and they are pushing players up, and they're going to find themselves in very interesting. It feels very positionless, and that they're going to find themselves in very. Kone tries to thread the pass, but it's offsides. But those types of passes, Kone is going to have to make against teams that are defending and not giving them space. But we are into the 12th minute, still nil-nil. Canada with the only shot on the frame. Uzbekistan had a break, but they chipped it far left and nothing to show for Fabio Cannavaro's team. Cannavaro's team. Here we go. Liam Miller playing it back. Derek Cornelius passing and breaking. There we go. Liam Miller with some good movement, breaking down the left, but no outlets. Richie trying to make a run, clear some space. Nice last ditch defending. Tajon looking, Tajon surveying, but nothing to quite show for yet. Ball turned over, ball chipped over the sides, ball placed. Uzbekistan now breaking. Nice pass and standing defending almost catches them off guard. They try to set the offside trap, but weren't able to pull it through. Joe David with a paw. Now you got Alistair Johnston looking, surveying, passing up. Now you have Kone with the space. Kone's got to take some of that space. Take it in and see what you can do with it. All right, here we got Steph Eustachio surveilling, nothing. Derek Cornelius back to Moise Bombito. Alistair Johnson tries the through ball, but it's picked off and red. Alistair pushing up. Joe David nearly with the press. Kyle Aaron tries to get there, chipped up, but not quite there. And a foul. Canada gets a foul. Uzbekistan earns their first free kick. Still nil-nil, but Canada have been dominating possession, but they have left themselves very leaky opportunities for the break. And against better teams, they'll get punished. But let's see what they're able to do here. The free kick comes in, played back, nice triangle pass. And they are playing like this is the group stage Uzbekistan is. They're looking for fouls, looking for they will do what they must. A good turn by Uzbekistan, and now they're breaking, but Alice Johnson with some good feet breaks up the pass and a deep ball coming, but they were offsides. Can't do anything with it. Uzbekistan with the ball, breaking again. Ball passed into the middle. Here we go. Uzbekistan down to the left flank. Pass. Ball is called out. We got a throw in coming in for the Canadians. Ball goes out, and now we have a throw in for Canada and another free kick coming up for Canada. Roll up the rim to win, I guess. Bad throw. Throw in come for Uzbekistan. Here we are. All right, ball headed. Kone overhead kicks and another throw for Uzbekistan. Their passing is just not connected. Moyes definitely saving there off of a break. They look very disjointed. Like they need another game to really get their feet together because you can see the ideas are there, but they're not connecting, right? They feel like an unconfident child who's going to make the pass but has to see it open before he makes it versus trusting and feeling the movements. You can definitely see the difference between the players who've had good form seasons and the players who haven't. All right, and it's a wet and the pitch probably plays a role into this as well, but it's still nil nil. Here we go. Yeah, their passes are just not there, or they're not moving. They're very flat-footed. Either way, the cohesion isn't there. Uzbekistan now bringing it out and ricochets out. Liam Miller tries to clear it, but not quite out. Kone pressing forward, and Canada's able to relieve a little bit of pressure by pushing them back and make. But now Uzbekistan on the ball a little bit here, starting their build up. Put the ball out wide on the left hand side, chips into the middle, but Kone with a good turn, unable to secure the ball. Back to Uzbekistan as they're breaking. Richie pushing through, no call, and Liam Miller looking. And it stays there. This is definitely going to be the non-football game of football here so far until someone decides to score. And if it's Uzbekistan, let me tell you, it'll be something. Ball chipped over. Tejan tries to get to it, tries to save it, able to save it, but not able to keep possession. Ball goes back to Uzbekistan. Kone with the ball, chipping it back there. Cornelius. Cornelius now surveying on the ball. Now here we go. Richie pushing up. Derek Cornelius with the ball, looking for options. Moyes looking for options. Puts the ball in. Moyes definitely looks like he's not match fit, right? And that was something I said on one of my other videos. I think this World Cup, we're going to see a lot of players who are fit but not game ready. Like they may be healthy but not match fit is really the term. And Moyes certainly looks like it here. Now we have a long ball put into for Joe David. He gets the end of it. A good turn, but well defended. Liam Miller looking for options. Back to Joe David. Chips inside. Stephanie Sacchio. Back to Kone. And Kone with a bad pass, thinking that again, same thing. They're not reading the same book. Bombito defending well technically. Ball chipped into the middle, all the way across. Alistair Johnston closing out the space, trying to build in, but now Uzbekistan gets the ball in. They're going to hold on to it a little, give themselves a little bit more time to breathe. Here we go. Liam Miller gets the ball. You got Stacker to Kone. Kone starts the break. Kone looking. Kone surveying. This is what I want to see more of Kone. Kone, Liam Miller cuts the inside. Pushed off. Richie Larea surveying, looking. Back to Kone. And we have a player down behind the field, behind the play. All right. Ganiev looks injured here in the 20th minute, which, again, remember, we got that hydration break coming. Even though, on today you don't need it, but they have plenty of water today. But Ganiev is down. But so far, 20 minutes, how are we feeling, Canadians? Or if you're Uzbekistani, if you're Uzbekistani, if that's the correct term, how are you feeling? Canada just feels like they are not in sync at all. They do not look like they are in sync at all. They need a group stage to figure stuff out. They really do need a group stage to figure stuff out. That Ireland game is really going to push them. Hello, Amy Rodriguez. Goal Canada. See, I thought you said they were scoring, so I was looking forward for the ticker. But we're living life here. We are living life as we see it. But still nil nil. 20. minutes in, waiting to see what's going on. But so far, I think it feels like one side is trying not. Uzbekistan is definitely not letting Canada have any space. But on the flip side, you have a Canadian side who are just out of sync. They're not able to connect passes when they need to. They're not really pushing the right buttons. You have players who have played all year, it feels like, and are match fit and just match mentally ready, and then other players who are just not reading the same book. And so they're going to need to get into the same chapter before they even get to the same page at this point. But you want them to continue to create chances. I would love to see a few more, just a few more shots on frame. Just hey, let a shot go. We're not going to be able to pass everything in, so we have to go from this. And safety first. Ganiev is coming out of the game, whether it's precautionary or whether it's bad. You don't want to see that. Agreed, agreed. That space friendlies are good right before tournament starts. I agree. Gotta get the kinks out, get the rest out, and we'll see. And again, like you see, like a player like Liam Miller who wants to, he's boys in form. He's been playing. Kone is playing, and then you just have other players where you're just like they need to get onto that level and start moving as they go. But an offsides is called, so Canada gets the free kick. Do I prefer Dane Sinclair or Mark Crepeau? Um, to me, I think Marsh is gonna go with Dane. That's what I think Marsh will do. Um, Max feels this is tough. I feel like Max has had better moments and big moments. Dane in those when he's been given big moments, he does everything but the thing you need him to do, right? I think back to the penalties against Guatemala. He gets this right both times, but like moves his hand to try to take away the far post and it goes right under him, right? Dane definitely has Dane has the measurables that you want in a goalie. He's a little bit better on his with his feet, and I think that's where Marsh will say that's where you want him. Max, I feel that Max in those moments, like I think the Mexico semifinals of the Gold Cup, he was solid there. Ended up losing that game, but still, he was solid there. You think um both Argentina games at Copa America, both lost both games, but without him, it's far worse than the score is. And like Dane has Dane has played with the like to me, I think Crepeau is better in those moments, but I think he's gonna go with Max. That's how I think, right? And Max is definitely I think Max is ready for those type this type of I think Max is ready for those types of games. So we got a deep ball all the way back to the goalkeeper, and here we are. So Canada still pressing. Kyle Laren starts his press, gets in. Tejan takes away one pass and goes back into the middle. Derek Cornelius. This this pitch is definitely gonna cause him a lot of problems. It is slick out there. So again, one misplay and you have a lot. It's gonna create an opportunity for you. Most definitely. All right, a body tackle again, and another free kick for Canada. Here we go. So we got the free kick coming, and then they got a corner kick coming, and Stack saves it, and the corner coming again. Can they score off a set piece? Can we be set piece merchants? I mean, we're going to be chaos merchants, is what we'll be. Let's be real. Most definitely. Okay, so Derek get on the edge of it, and another break coming in, and Max with the save. Again, these breaks where they're pushing so far up that you don't have fullbacks sitting in defensive spaces. You have forwards. Liam Miller shouldn't be hustling his keister to go and save the ball. Where is my defense? I ask myself. But those things are going to be there all the time. And I feel if that's the case, it's making again, Max has made these saves. You don't want to be asking you don't want to be asking your goalie to make 1v1s all the time. And that's the reality of it. And that's why I don't like it. All right. Yeah, Jesse does seem to like to go with players who've been through it with him. Max has played some big intercats since Jesse arrived. As has Dane St. Clair, right? Dane played Nations League. Dane played the Gold Cup. And I think it's all going to factor in. I think he wants to go, but both have been so poor. It's just not worth you have to open it up. I also think he painted himself in the corner when he said it was a two-man competition, and right when he said that, James Pantemis decided to say, "I'm going to be in the best form of my life," but he was never part of the conversation, and that's where people were like, "Why can't Pantemis get a start?" Well, because Pantemis wasn't part of the conversation. Indeed. Yeah, there is too much space, but this is a product of how they play. They push they're trying to create chaos. Like my boy Nelson put it well. We're chaos merchants. We're trying to push as many players up in the press, create chaos, turn over, and have the numbers to counter properly. In doing so, the space becomes every opportunity you want. I mean, look at one bad pass here. You have Richie playing in the middle. You have Kone looking for a pass. You have it's Derek Cornelius and maybe Moise Bombito. They're asking for chaos. They're asking for that type of chaos. They're daring that pass, but they're giving up that pass consistently, and I think that's the problem. All right, Joe David with a pass. Laren breaking, looking. Laren puts a shot off, and it's wide. A nice far shot put out wide, but hey, make the goalie do something. Joe David with a pass in the middle. He wasn't going to beat anyone with pace. Kyle Laren wasn't, but at least the confidence is try to put it on shot. Goal kick coming up for Uzbekistan. All right, and another free kick coming here for Canada. Nice tactical push. Kone definitely Kone is definitely looking as one of your better players, but the problem is it's very evident when a player like the breaks that they're giving up is concerning. It looks like we're about to get some subs coming in. Looks like Marsh is really trying to get everyone some playing time to look good in. This I'll have a I'm wondering how you guys feel with all the early subs. I know the injury for Uzbek is one thing, but early subs to get players, and I know with the new substitution rules, you want to have more flexibility, but does that take away from building Does that take away from building some cohesion? Moyes definitely looks like he can't run like he wants to, but we're getting Luke de Fugere coming in for Moise Bombito, and then you're getting Nico Segur coming in for Richie Larea. So some healthier players to see out the rest of the staff. Looks like we're gonna get 30, 60, and 90 moves from there. In friendlies, it's I think it's up to 8 now. It's not 5. It's definitely past that. Friendlies give you more flexibility within that. Laren with the ball. Laren again doesn't have the pace to do anything. Yo David tries to chip it over, and Miller goes but can't reach on the cross. Goal kick coming up for Uzbekistan. Let me confirm that for you. Up to 11? Is this real? Is that the number? Interesting. All right, so here we go back onto the ball. There we got Kone definitely looking good. Joe David playing it out. And you have Segura at left back, Alistair Johnson at right back, Kone surveying. Kone is definitely moving like he's played a full season and enjoyed every minute of it. All right, now you got Segura with the ball on the left, surveying, looking, ball out to Liam Miller, cross put in, but gathered by the keeper. Tejan can't get to it. Is it true that in Canada you get free healthcare? Yes. Yes, it is true. Well, that's explain every breakdown of things. Your basic is covered. So everyone has access to your basic things. There are other things that aren't covered, but yeah, bad pass, but saved. Derek Cornelius now looking and surveying. Stakio, Kone, heavy touch, but the ball through the middle. Kone, one dribble too many, and he is tackled. Bildusaga was honestly a well-timed tackle. Just that's your Man City product right there. Like they, uh, it's a very start-stop game, not because of the fouls, but just because it's just been disjointed. Tries to thread the middle, like you're not quite sure what these Canadian players are seeing. Uzbekistan certainly knows how to play on the counter with 1 to 3 chances. Here we got deep throwing coming in for Canada. Here goes the throw coming in. Here we go. Deep throwing coming in for Uzbekistan. Throwing comes in. Another throwing coming for Uzbekistan. All ship. Here we go. Built, but not quite there. Chipped up. Mazel. Johnston going. No call. Tejan puts it up and is taking off. They get the ball back. We need creativity in the midfield. Your best outfield player for Canada has been Kone, I'd say, and Kone had one run where he one dribble too many, but he's seeing the passes. I don't think it's a creativity issue, Amy, but it's also a team that's disjointed, right? It's a team that aren't on the same page. And I think they really have struggled to read the game as it's playing. This The conditions could affect it, but this reminds me, this like the way this game is playing reminds me a lot of the Panama game in Toronto that they played. I had the pleasure of going to that game, and it was just measuring the passes for that. They could never measure everything as it should have been, right? I think Schaffelberg started that game, and all his touches were a little bit too heavy. Liam Miller came in and then was able the touches were a little bit better, but the weight of the passes, I mean, not the touches, but the conditions may play a role in this, but they've just looked not connected. And that's a very fair point there, John Patrick. Well, I wonder how often these Canadian players actually play together compared to the other teams that are consistently among the best in the world. Um, you could argue this is another starting lineup that they use this year since what? Since Nations League, and I think they it's coming off of a season where some players played a season with confidence, others didn't. Some are match fits, some are not. Yes, you wanna go with the team and the players that you've brought in, but that's the one drawback when you have players who've had great seasons and others who didn't struggle, but didn't have the seasons that they were hoping for. And you're seeing the Uzbekistan side who maybe haven't played as many big teams, but you see their cohesion in terms, especially when they're breaking. Their passes are weighed properly. They're reading the right runs, making them, and that's where it becomes a little bit. That's where it's very start stop. At least for me. Maybe you have a different opinion. You guys let me know in the comments as we go. But another free kick, Canada building. Can they? This feels like a game that the Canada's going to score at the 9 minutes of the first half, and then we'll say we made it through. But we maybe this just gets them to wake up and move. But a slick pitch is definitely going to throw a few things off. But here we go. Nico Segur, Liam Miller looking nice lid pass over deflected. Now we're going for another corner for Canada. But again, you're seeing Miller, Kone, Laren making the appropriate runs. Those players who you see have had good seasons, you're seeing them playing well there, right? You're seeing them reading the game as it should be. All right, corner comes in, meets Cornelius, but he's not able to free himself from it. And a free kick. Yellow card for Liam Miller. Yeah, they don't, hey, that's Premier League Liam, Premier Liam Miller here. Tactical foul. He gets the yellow. Liam stacking up his yellows. Yeah, professional. Not having to qualify for the World Cup has hurt both the US and Mexico. I think it definitely put them all, and Canada included, into a space where w- you miss. I was saying earlier this year, I miss the stress of World Cup qualifiers. Like the most competitive games that they had were the Gold Cup and the Nations League. And if even if you don't want to call those two things failures, there were definitely missed opportunities, right? Their best game that they've played was probably what their win against Ukraine before the Gold Cup last year. Good pass. Now chipped over. You got Liam Miller coming. Liam Miller looking, cuts it inside, puts a shot, and it's blocked. Alistair Johnston coming in. Luke DeFougereau passing, and we got a throw in coming for Canada. Yep, they need to get their playmakers need to get their act together. The players, I'd say they're yeah, but I think they need to get fit. Like game reps matter here, and they haven't had many high intense game reps. As much as you want to say, hey, a competitive game against Wales will do it, or playing Colombia, or playing Ecuador, or playing Australia, those games, yes, they help, but you don't have the pressure of win and you're in, losing, you go home. Right. The lack of competitive matches does matter. Right. Which is why I do think, and this is an overall CONCACAF thought. I don't like how CONCACAF structures their competitions in a way where it's just like, well, we're just gonna exclude the top teams so that they can play better. No, put them in. Like you're gonna need a team as bad as it is. Like you're gonna need if a team loses 6-0, then they have to wear 6-0 and say we need to be better from this. That's the reality. Don't say we're keeping the competition safe. No. Put the best in and see what happens. Agreed. If you haven't played many matches together lately, things will be off. They need to play some real games to build a chemistry. I would agree, but I mean, Bombito coming back from injury, Alistair Johnson coming back from injury, right? Luke DeFougereau technically coming back from in a quick injury. How many of the Canadian players, if they were fully fit, this would be a different conversation. But at the end of the day, half the team are healthy of that health. Like a quarter of the team had good seasons, the other quarter struggled, and then the other half were in hurt for long periods of time. You can't build that chemistry. You can't turn on that switch, right? You need reps, muscle memory. They even know what it feels like to play with that. And right now, they're not quite there. We go free kick, header. Max, good save off of it. Max saves it off the free kick. Yep, but it's called offside still. Yeah, everyone was off there, but a good save still. Whether you think it's offside or not, you got to save the ball. But Max gets the half. Yeah. Canada with most of the possession, Uzbekistan with the better chances, and still nil-nil entering the final moments of the first half. And you can see Uzbekistan starting to gain a little bit of confidence moving up. So you gotta, they have to wake up. In the words of Jonathan Osorio, boys, wake the bleep up at a Jamaican field near you. Segura with a kick, but throw-in coming in. And another throw-in coming in. Offsides, deep throwing coming in for Canada. Stakio. Refs are not messing around with it. 2 minutes of additional time coming in. Ball pass. Kone galloping down the left side, looking. Joe David looking. Liam Miller cuts it back, passes down to the middle. He has Stakio, nice through ball. Joe David can't get to it, but the idea, a little bit better reading. It feels like they're in the same part of the book, just not there. But he took the braids out, eh? I can respect it. Here we go. Goal kick coming in for Canada. How do I think Dane will play tonight? Well, he's going to be given the opportunity. This is the type of game where he's going to have to make saves. How they've been playing in the space they've been giving up. Kyle Laren, Southampton. Kyle Laren is not Canada. Kyle Laren. Nice layoff to Alistair Johnson. Looking puts it back in. Dejan puts it back, but good defending, and it is thwarted. Another good chance put away. Kone with the turn was gonna go back to the keeper, but Kone again. Kone with the ball, dribbling with the ball here. Only one who's really both reading and moving. But here we have Tejan going up the right hand side, thinking of going for pace, goes out to the byline, chips it over, and gathered by the keeper as we sit. And that is halftime. Halftime. That is 0-0 is the score. 0-0 is the score. And let's jump over to the sofa score to see what we got going on with it. We have 52% possession according to sofa score versus 48. Two big chances for Uzbekistan. Three total shots, one save each for each keeper, two corners for Canada, one for Uzbekistan, three fouls to 12. Canada with 3, 12 for Uzbekistan. Passes about the same, 229 to 216. 12 to 9 tackles, 12 to 3 free kicks, and both sides with two yellow cards each. Right. Liam Miller definitely more active. Again, as you were saying, I think this game feels like the play you can see for Canada, the players who've played well this season look like the better players on the pitch. Right. Kone looks great out there. Liam Miller looks confident moving. Tejan picking his spots looks good. Moyes couldn't really move. Joe David isn't in the same part of the book as Kone in this book. And then the other defenders, Richie, he got his 30-minute cameo. That's great. What would you guys change in this first half? Because for me, I know there's going to be a lot of changes put in, which means it's going to be a very disjointed type of a second half. But you would love to see a few more players be on the same page. And even if it's just two or three or four of players who all just are on the same wavelength in terms of their movements, in terms of how they're seeing the game, it would certainly help. I'm sure the pitch conditions certainly plays a role into it. Again, watching this feels a lot like the Panama game in Toronto where it had rained, it was raining, it was cold, and then everything wasn't quite there. This isn't a team that you say they need perfect conditions to play, but in a chaos type game that they want to play, they certainly haven't taken advantage of the chaos that's there. They've been the more chaotic side, right? They've given up two big chances in which if you don't count the offsides save that Max makes, they have two big chances that they've given up that they're fortunate. Max makes one save, and then the forward chips the ball wide left. It's realistically based off of the chances, they should be down, but it's a friendly. So you say, you know what? We're gonna let them breathe, get their feet under them, figure this out, go from there. But it's a friendly, but they need to come. I know they're trying to be in self-preservation, but they definitely need to perform a lot better coming into this next half. Which subs would I make? Well, everyone's gonna. It feels like everyone's gonna get a run here, so I want to see how Tanny looks like. This feels like a game where they're gonna put the ball in the space and Tanny's gonna have to finish, right? because Kyle has the right movements, but asking Kyle to hold up the ball or to dribble through traffic isn't his strength. He's a poacher's nine. He's not the best hold up there. There we got Canada's shots, missed shot there. Liam Miller in the 41st. You had Tajon in the third that went directly far corner. You had Kyle Aaron in the 30th. Then you had Liam Miller. That shot got blocked. And then there were a few other opportunities that were blocked there. But overall, this feels like it's a game. How eerily is it Australia? How eerily is it the other games where they're doing everything right possession wise? They're just not finishing. It's the type of game where I won't. It's the type of game where they need to get someone to swing in crosses. This is a game where I'd say, listen, I wonder how healthy Promise is, but put Promise in for Kyle Aaron and just spam crosses. Spam crosses to the 6'4" guy. Yes, he's coming back off a bad hip. Defensively, I think it's not there. And to your point, John, I think this is going to help me transition to that point. Maybe the defense can be a little bit more aware when Uzbekistan is about to attack. They had a few breaks that were either 1v1s or just clear path to max. The way that they play, and I'll keep on using this term, it's chaos. It's chaos ball, where they're trying to push. Where they're trying to push their fullbacks into the action to create more chaos into the press. When that gets broken, now one of them came off of a set piece, one of their breaks. When that doesn't happen, you're leaving a center back, if you're lucky, two. Normally it's a Moyes, and we've seen him when he's at fully fit, he's nullifying that. That's the type of game that they want to play. They've given that up repeatedly. They gave those up consistently against Argentina. You saw that happen against Tunisia. That is, it's part of the experience, right? I'm not even trying to say this sarcastically, but it's part of the Jesse Marsh experience, right? He's going to push as much, create chaos, turn them over, have numbers to create the counter, and then go. When that doesn't work, you are sending counters that way, and 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 then you're praying that your defender can make the right read, or Liam Miller hustles back and makes a play. That to me is something where it's something, and to echo other games, it's something that I always go back to with the Uruguay third place game at the Copa America. Has Marsh learned from a game where how to see a game out, right? Not necessarily to play the ball further and further up the pitch, but can he manage a game? In this type of a game, he's pushing, and like until Canada scores one, they are more likely to give up one based off how they are in possession, and that is the concern. And against better teams, right? The chances they gave us Uzbekistan against better teams, like we saw them against a better team. Iceland did. They gave up chances against Iceland. It was 2-0. Canada could have had all the possession they wanted, but it was 2-0. And so I think for them, yes, they have to be more aware, but I think closing the space, like you said, John, between the defenders and the midfielders, but asking your fullbacks to be aware. Like that was one of the good parts of having an Alfonso Davies as your fullback. Because even when he's at Bayern, yes, he'll go into the attack, but he's the eraser defender, right? He goes back and erases mistakes that other teams that his teammates make. And so for him, being on the pitch or a fully fit Moise Bombito, that's if we push too many people up, we have pace that can erase those mistakes. That's what they desperately. Without that pace on the pitch, that's there. And so I'm hoping that gets fixed, but I don't think we're going to see enough players play where it's going to be cohesive, right? And so for that, that's where I'm really curious to see how that comes through, right? Duels, as you can see, aerial duels, bad aerially. Again, that if you include set pieces in there, we must be better at set pieces, boys. We must be better. Right, seeing some of the stats here. Goalkeeping saves, one goalkeeping save, one big save. We know the big one punch, two goal kicks to four. Make the goalie make saves. Put things on frame on a wet day. Something slips, it'll go through. Just They have to get into a shoot first mentality. Just keep on peppering. That's what I would say. But what do you guys think should be done in the second half? I think we're going to see a lot of players in the second half. So I don't know if there's value in saying who do you want to see on the pitch. I think it's rare. We're going to see everyone. Dane's coming in. I think Moyes is icing his leg coming off after 30 minutes. That's part of it. I know someone just texted me. He's like, "Is that bad?" I'm like, "He was only going to play a certain amount of time, so we're good. We are good so far." But we're gonna have to win. But guys, instead of players that you want to see, what combinations do you want to see in the second half? Because for me, it's that's what I want to see. I think I want to see the cousins, as I call them. I want to see Promise and Joe David together. In the middle on a game like this, I think Saliba in a game like this, you could use his creativity in the midfield. I don't know if you need to see Alfie Jones in this game. You might, but you're gonna. I would like a fullback who's not gonna push too far up. So that means Arm Song has to come on and just stick back there. I would love for him to do that. But yeah, I think for me the ones I'm interested in is Promise, Nathan Saliba, and then maybe even an Astorio could give you something for the last 20. Just try to pick up pass, pick a lock, make a good run in space. That would be ideal. But right now, they've just looked eh, meh. Not quite dangerous, but a little chaotic. We will see what they're able to do. We are going to see what they're able to do as we wait for second half to get going. I'm going to grab a water because I am parched, and I shall return shortly. But are you guys still good with your predictions? Let me know. I said a draw, scoring draw. Realistically, it feels like it could have been a 2-2 draw again if Canada, we didn't get those saves from Max. But we're going to see Dane in the second half. Which is score predictions for second half, and what players do you want to see have big second halves? I will be back shortly. And we are back here waiting for the start of the second half to get going here. Figured I'd change it up, see what happens. Maybe it was me, maybe I was the bad juju hitting them up here. We'll see what they're able to do. Second half, getting ready to get underway. Players come back to the pitch, and we'll let you know of any substitutions that are happening as we get through here. And all right, so Tanny came in. Okay, so it looks like we're getting Saliba, Osorio, Chouanier, Priso, and yeah, they're going full scale rotation. So this has gone from let's see how he looked like Dane coming in as well. Yeah, so taking these substitutions. So Dane coming in for Max, we knew that. You have Mathieu Chouanier coming in, Nathan Saliba coming in. So your midfield swap. You're getting Jaden Nelson in for Tejan, I assume. Tanya Lachey's coming on. All right, so Tanny coming in for, I believe, Kyle Laren, which I think he would suit this game a little bit better here. Mathieu Chouanier and Saliba again for Sakio and the others. Prizo coming in for Derek Cornelius, I assume. Osorio coming on with Chouanier. That's where I'm interested. Osorio, Chouanier, and Saliba. That could be in. We could be if this is the only way we get a three-man midfield. Let me dream. All right, so let's see what they're able to do now. The Dane's in. Yeah, Dane is the goalkeeper. He's in as well. So Tanny and Joe David is the combination they're going with. Osorio, Chouanier, Jaden Nelson. Oh, had the right idea. The pass makes it through, but can't go through. Oh, okay. It is full scale changes here. So this is going to be I don't know what to take from this, but okay, let's roll. And maybe the rain plays into this. If it's maybe cleaner, maybe he goes with the stars a little bit longer. But again, half of your players are all coming in off of injuries. No, Larea came out. Remember, Segur came out for Larea in the 30th minute. The only one who's still there is Joe David. So Joe David is the last man standing, and maybe that's just him to that boy needs to get some stuff going. Uzbekistan building from the back. Saliba putting the pass in, a nice interplay, but they're looking a little bit better with passing right now. Okay, a little bit better, but they need to do something. They need to do something in this half. So here we go. A nice ship from Uzbekistan. They tried to play it, but again, the conditions definitely not that the grass is bad, but it's just It's just not allowing him to play well. Oh, this makes sense. That's why Dead Ball's running this one. Enjoy the life, man. Enjoy the love, Dead Ball. Here we go. Pass back. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Looks like Prizo's playing as a left back. It feels like, and again, that's something thought maybe that's the reason that you bring in Prizo, possibly, because he does have the pace to be speedy on both sides and give your fullback some cover. Joe David pressing, but nothing. At least with Tanny, you have a little bit better movements. But Tanny with the foul, trying to break it, and we go. All right, so free kick comes from Uzbekistan. So here we go, passing back into the middle. Like it, love it, live it. Bad pass. Canada now with a throw in the Uzbekistan side. Here we go. Shwanyao looking. All right. Joe David in the middle. Puts it out wide. Now you have Sigger. Tries to chip it over, but can't quite get to it. Saliba gets to the second ball. Good on the ball. Tries to put it to someone, but there's no one to get to it. Small push and free kick to Uzbekistan. But the thing is, if you're going to put Prizo there, this might be your only. No, Prizo's there because they brought the 32 that they traveled with them for these friendlies. And so as a result, you can play Prizo. Basong is there as well, and the likes. So they walk with the extra bodies, which I guess in the game, like, hey, remember, half the team isn't healthy. So I don't know what they're supposed to do, but half the team isn't healthy. But changing this whole aesthetic here. Ball into the middle. Shwanya was a little bit caught out of place. Saliba looking to pass, bring it to someone, but DC gets the ball. Jodovic strong on the ball, looking to go through. He's got to find a pass. Tries to go to Tanny, but a bad pass, and it's easily picked off. Again, it just looks like teams that just don't know. It looks like a team that is not in sync. They have made 8 substitutions. And let me tell you, if they can make 12, they'd make 12. You and me both, Amy. I wish they would score too. You and me both. We out. I did not sacrifice sleep to not get a goal. That's what I say. It's not really sacrificing sleep. It's 10, 25 here. But yeah, they've just the Saliba with good feet, but ball goes out, throw in coming in for Uzbekistan. Yeah, Nelson for Miller and just everyone else. But what is interesting with this is you don't really have a proper. This feels more like a 3-4-3 in a sense. With Luke the Fougerolles, you have I yeah, you have the Fougerolles, Cornelius, and Prizo can give you like a solid back three, and then you have but it's a weird. It's really like yeah, It gets very interesting. Dane hasn't had to do anything. So he's playing, he's on the pitch. Dane has saved as many shots as I have so far. The new players seem to be definitely up for it. I would also argue that the new players on the pitch are all healthy. That kind of helps you in some of the things you're trying to do. Well, that's how he is. Yep. Luke Wellman and Steven Caldwell. Like, it's a solid team. I'm always team no noise. Because then as someone who watches games, I tend to talk to myself. I'm like, "What are you doing? What type of pass is that? What are we doing here?" Like, I'm that person when I watch a game. So commentators don't really rate for me. I'm just there watching it and taking it in. That I would agree. And Pedro, I do agree with you. A couple of these players in the second are fighting for the last spots. I think there's as many as no. I know the roster was announced. I think there's as many as four swaps that could happen. I think based off of health, especially looking at the players who only played 30 minutes in the first half, there's not mu I think those players are the ones that you're looking at who possibly couldn't be. Like, I think Schaffelberg is still a big question. I think with no Flores, now it's another attacker that you could be looking at. Bombito and Promise David, we're watching to see what happens with them. I'm not hoping for it. I hope they're healthy. But again, I said this the first half. I think you could be looking at as many as four players who could get swapped in, which means, yeah, a player like Priso, a player like Nelson, it does a lot. This second half will do a lot in terms of showing what they can do to help the squad. Match here, Yao, my favorite set piece taker, and Nico Segur pushing the ball forward. Back to Nelson. It looks like Canada's building. Moving the ball. Can we get the shot on frame? Can we get a shot on frame? He asks. He asks, can we get a shot on frame? And too much to ask for, apparently. Let's see how we break down. Jay Nelson cutting inside. Saliba passing Joe David, passing out wide. Players are being, oh, Tanny trying out for the Elks. Tanny trying out for the Eskimo, for the Edmonton Elks here. Just lifted that. It'd be good from that was good from 40. You're gonna give me that both these teams are playing for a whistle, but we'll see. Can we force a save? Can we just force a save? All right, so here's Joe David in the middle, sends him in. Tanny alone, block shots. Ah, Tanny more famous for his pace than his finishing. Tanny, you gotta finish those, and that's the one problem with Tanny. Tanny gives you everything but a finish, but he gives you everything that Marsh wants but a finish. He gives you the work rate, he gives you the pressing, he occupies the right space so Joe David can stay around and stay off. Well, apparently they just scored, and we're gonna wait to see what that looks like. Let's breathe here. Let's breathe. Nelson back into the middle. Tanny, is it Segur? It was Osorio. Again, Jonathan Osorio. Jonathan Osorio gets the goal. We can go home now. We can breathe. It's got to be Osorio. There's a terrible DiGiorno goal. The elder statesman of the roster gets the scoring going. Yes, goal, goal, goal. The Brampton Youth, the Brampton Youth gets it done. But Osorio finished filling the space and bouncing ball goes under the goalkeeper. Again, it's a slick surface, and we take the win. We take the win. Amy, I know we can go to bed now, right? We can rest easy. They scored against Uzbekistan. All joking aside, they just needed more of that. And this second unit, whether it's because they're healthier or whether it's just because they're all just more cohesive, they are looking far better than the first half. The first half, just the players who were looking good at their clubs were looking good. If only veteran scores, then by default, Jodovic should have the next goal, I guess, as the second eldest statesman on the pitch. Those are the feelings, man. Those are feelings. We got a goal. We got that goal. Osorio living life. Put the man on. Dane misjudges that one. Yeesh. Put that man strike. Well, I mean, that's part of the thing that misses the tying floors getting hurt. Osorio is your only quote unquote 10. I think Saliba probably rates a little bit better as a 10 there. But here comes Schwanyao, chips it up, but easily red. Uzbekistan now pushing a little bit further to get an equalizer. We'll see what they're able to do there. Saliba puts out another throwing coming in for Canada. Oh, the words and the thoughts. But yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I do primarily Canadian African football, so if you look through the catalog, there's plenty of videos. We did a series actually earlier about who we thought would make the 26. Saliba with a nice run, nice pass. Osorio with a good turn looking. Saliba dribbling good. Okay. Tries to chip it forward, but slips. Yeah, the second unit looking this line change was needed because listen, I'm getting my money's worth now. Either there are passes lost connected. They're moving, and this is gonna be this is telling. I don't think Marsha's gonna look too deep into this, but this is very telling that your healthy players are giving you what you want, but your best players are your hurt ones. But like I would have liked to see this combination with the likes of a Kone and Priso pushing up. Again, Priso becomes a utility type player. And like Priso's pace is I'm gonna I'll make this comparison because I made it with Andre Schaffner of True North, but Priso's versatility, like, could be. I'm not saying it is, but to go to the women's side, Osorio's making the right moves, the right runs. Osorio is reading this game, and this is a benefit of coming to this game after you've seen a first half and how it's being played. You can come in and say, okay, this is the type of game I have to play. Come in. Like we've seen our Luke Fougeroux would do this a lot when he first started playing for Canada. When it was a physical game, hey, he came in, picked up his quick yellow with a nice shoulder. It's like this is the game we're playing. Okay, let's go. Tanny tries to turn but can't get it done. Saliba gets it, but it's free kick coming from Uzbekistan. It could be that, maybe just but also remember, Bombito's coming back from injury. Um, Alistair was coming back from injury. Richie was coming back from injury as well. That's the back line they were pushing. And then you had players again, I the best players on the pitch in the first half were um were Kone, Miller, and Tejan. So I don't know if it's just I think it's just also cohesiveness. They've just not had the chance to really play. But not Bombito, Priso is really flying around. He's giving I don't think he's gonna be all these places, but the versatility he gives from being able to play as a fullback, as a center back, as a CDM, like it's giving early Janine Becky, where it's like, where has Janine Becky not played? The answer is center back. She's played everywhere else. And so if you can give that, especially with if you're looking at a team that's not going to be healthy, you need versatility. I don't think him as a center back is the right call. I can understand why you want it, especially for the pace. Xuan Yao gets a nice pass put in, and Tanny can't get to it. But this second, yeah, this team is looking so much better in the second half. Showing out again, the far side runs when they get the ball to the middle, whether it's a fullback or a midfielder, that player is stretching the defense and making the right run. So here we go again. Schwanyel, Osorio sending it off. Tanny looking, turning. Jaden, Joe David with a cutback. Oh, you had him dribbling through and just over dribbles. Joe, you had him. Joe, you had him. If he slips it off at Nelson was ready to get on his toes. But again, second half, they look far better than the first half here. You love to see it. But maybe hey, you see this game, how it's running? This both looks bad on both sides. Canada really needs to like I would really appreciate it if they could just put a few more shots on frame. If you're Uzbekistan, it's like, look, they've not really done anything, but they've had glorious opportunities that they just squandered. So we'll see what comes of the rest of this half. But 1-0 right now kind of feels like a fair representation of how this game is played. Like 1-0 type of a game. For sure, for sure. Yeah, we were just saying that. I think there's a degree where there's health is an issue, but even if you take away the players who are coming back from injuries, there's a lot of non-match fitness that's with that first team, right? Joe David played mostly a full season, but wasn't consistently getting minutes. So his IQ may be there, but it's like the brain is reading, but the body isn't reacting, right? And then Tejan, Kone, and Miller, I think, looked the best. Kyle Larin was making good runs, but just again, good defending in the first half. I think that's where it just becomes I'm not full the concern is they're not healthy. But I'm not concerned about that because I've already accepted that the team might be healthy enough, but they won't be match fit come June 12th. And so that's where Jesse Marsh has to make a decision where he says, am I taking the players who I've been with, but maybe are at 60%, 70% of what their capabilities are? Or do I trust the players who can move and then trust it turns into a situation where it's like how I like to look at friendlies, especially when you have young players. My thought is always you start the young players because if it's not going well, worst case scenario, you can go to the vets and be like, okay, you guys settle this, gain some composure to this game. I feel like a veteran can more easily look at that way. No, Siebert, don't I don't necessarily disagree. I would say, like right now, I have them coming in. Yeah, I know healthy is what you were saying. I think I have them coming second in the group, and that was if they were like I think they go draw. If they were able to beat Bosnia, I'm calling that game as a draw. If they're able to beat Bosnia, that's found money. But I think they go draw, win, loss. I think they draw Bosnia, they beat Qatar, and then I have them losing to Switzerland and finish second in their group. That's how I see the game going. Right? When will Dane make a save, Amy? Listen, Dane has made as many saves as I have today, right? And I think they should. Hey, call me up, Jesse. I got my gloves. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play. Okay, so Alfie Jones on for Derek Cornelius for the last 30. So yeah, it feels like he's given some players 30. He's given other players a full. Like I think Joe David's about to play the full game. Well, as I say this, there's promise on the side. And that's the other thing. The other thing with promise coming in with the cousin swapping. I wouldn't say necessarily credit. Maybe it's a credit to Canada's second half defense. I think their offense, your best defense is a good offense. Uzbekistan hasn't had the ball, right? Canada was turning the ball over with passes. They were giving them breaks. In this half, they've been better in terms of turning the ball. They've been better chaos merchants in the second half, and that's how they got their goal. Do you think the way they played in the first half they would beat Bosnia? No, not how they played in the first half. And to be very specific with that, they would need 3 more players to play well in the first half for me to be like, "I think so." But the thing with Bosnia is, like, you'll get breaks. Bosnia isn't if you like, and this is how I think about it. I think if you rate Canada so highly, if, I would say then you're looking at 3 teams who are gonna sit and defend and dare you to break you down. I think Canada is gonna find themselves in at least 1.5 games. That Bosnia game, how they played Italy just makes me wonder how they're gonna play Canada. I think Switzerland, Canada's not gonna have the ball. They are playing roulette, Seabirds. Truly, with the lack of health of their players, they are playing roulette. This truthfully for me, they're playing roulette, right? They're hoping that they can get everyone up to pace. Like I've resigned myself to the fact that hey, at this World Cup, I think you're going to see 2 to 3 defenders come off after 45 minutes because that's how much their legs can take them. It's the offense that's going to matter. Like, can your midfield forward push and create enough chaos for it to work against a Bosnia side that's going to be very physical with you? Hey, good luck. Good luck. Best case again. Right now, like I'm going draw, win, loss. That's how I see them going through. But your points are valid, Seaver. Don't get me wrong. I hear what you're saying. And for the most part, I do agree with what you're saying, but the way that Marsh has approached this game has just been from 30th minute substitutions. I was just like, okay, it's gonna be one of those games. We had a full line change in the second half. Yeah, concerned about Dane. He's not informed. None of their goalies are informed. I'm sorry, none of the goalies that we've brought are informed. It's a very important caveat. And bad pass, got a throw in coming in for Canada. But yeah, Priso has done. I think Priso's done enough to make this a conversation in terms of the one spot that we know is open. Nelson with the break crosses it, and it just meets Promise David in the chest. To Abby, like, what are we doing? Welcome back. But that hits you in the chest. That's got to be attacked. True. And I'm hoping that we get a better actual representation of it. Right. The next match will give us a better idea of who will start against Bosnia and hers. Yeah. Against Ireland, you'd hope that we can at least get a full half of our team and then see what they look like in that half. And in that half, you got to buzz. Like in that half, you have to decide, okay, are we good? Or are we not? Who do you think will take Marcelo's place in the squad? I think it's going to be. I think it's either going to be Jaden Nelson or Junior Hoylett. That's what my gut tells me right now. Over Marcelo's spot, I think it's going to be Junior or Jaden. Hugo Saliba marauding down the middle. They're just not able to make the runs. Good pass, Prizo out wide. Jaden Nelson with the ball, looking to create cuts inside. Back to Chouanier. Chouanier to Saliba. Chouanier back to Nelson. Nelson looking, surveying Chouanier into the middle. Osorio dribbling out, looking, surveying. Back to Prizo. Saliba fighting off, getting the ball back. Now I got Osorio out wide. All right, Chouanier looking. Alfie with the ball back to Prizo. Prizo, you gotta take some of this. Don't get sucked in too deep. Back out to Fougerolles. Alfie Jones with a tackle, but now he's got to defend in space. Alfie goes down, and Luke de Fougerolles with the block. Corner coming up from Uzbekistan. All that possession it goes. We all look. Yeah, I remember Alex Bunbury. I may be young or old, depending on how old you think I am. But good luck by Luke de Fougerolles. Yeah, Nelson does look solid. I think he's doing enough. Like, if you're looking, my argument is this: if you're looking for someone to recreate the skill set of Marcelo Flores, you can't. But playing style wise, I think Nelson's a lot closer than I think some people give him credit for. I think Marcel just has far more flair. But in terms of playing between that 8 to 10 space, That's definitely something Nelson does. I'd argue if this was 4 years ago, it's Hoylett, and I'm not even hesitating. It's Hoylett, just immediately, nothing. And so for me, that's those would be the 2. I think you're gonna see I'm like and I said this earlier, I am watching what happens, and I'm reading everything with Bombito because Bombito can move, but he can't really move. And so I wonder if that pushes Friso back in. I think opening day, based off how they look, I think you start the Fujral as crazy as it is. You start Luke the Fujral on against Bosnia, and then you kinda go from there. I think you go them and then Derek, and those are your starting 2 center backs. Tene pushing. Frizo is buzzing around trying to butt dribble intercepted, and you have Uzbekistan coming on the break. James Nelson defending well, and we have a throw coming for Uzbekistan. Back out. 78th minute here on my screen, 79th on yours. 1-0 for the guys in red. Ooh, tell me more about this. Oh, Dominic Mobilio. Promise David finished, but he's offsides. Ah, incredible. We could have Yeah, they did call him offsides. Let's see. No, he's onside for that. I wanna see another replay of that. I wanna see another no, I need another replay of that. That should show that to me again. Show that to me again. No, 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 One Soccer, show that to me again. There's no way he's offsides. Yeah, they are just not reading this game at all. That I agree with. Yeah, seeing it, I was just like, "Wait, that's how is that not a just stealing you this hating on Brampton Youths, eh?" S Sieberts, I agree. The problem is Marsh plays a certain style. Like, I have a running joke with On the Rise, uh, and yeah, he'll have his post-match breakdown of this, so make sure you guys go to On the Rise and watch that. But I've told him, like, I think Marsh will sooner start Daniel Jevison than he'll start Promise because Promise doesn't have the work rate. Like, this is Jesse Marsh. Marsh put Daniel Jefferson as a winger when we lost a winger at the Gold Cup. And I was standing there saying, like, you have a fresh Jaden Nelson right there. Like, yes, I know you're down a player, but just take off a striker and just put in you. And he was like, no, we're gonna go flat three. We're gonna go 3-2-4, and we're gonna live this life. I'm like, but why? The style doesn't fit, right? And that's why I think other strikers like Theo Bear, I don't think he fits how Marsh wants to play. And especially when we look and we see that we've extended him, whether it's fair or not, there are certain players I look at, I'm like, yeah, they won't factor in. Or they may not factor in is the fair word to say. They might, but they may not factor in based off how Marsh wants to play. But no, to answer the question, Amy, no, I don't think he's made a save because all the shots have been off target. Like, if that's a default. It's not that you didn't make a save, nothing hit the ooh, Sergeyev. Alright, so here we got Saliba passing out to Nelson, Nelson turning, puts it out to Tanny. Tanny bumped off the ball, and here we go, Uzbekistan on the counter, and nothing to go back to Dane Sinclair. Sinclair now puts it out to Prizo, and a little bit of pushing and little they are hot. Can I say that that's my second thing that I'm worried about with this team? Not that they're flexing on them. It's just that they love they love the disrespect. Like, they've never met a, sh- a kerfuffle that they've never liked. Like, they've never walked into a scuffle that they didn't turn down. Like, you walk them, you don't need. They want the mud fight, and I was like, you don't need it all the time. Like, just go win the game. But hey, that's my 3 cents. That's my 3 cents. So Prizo is with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Amy, there's we have a save by Dane St. Clair. Our boy Dane has got a save. Yeah, Alfie, like with Alfie getting beat with those. Yeah, I agree. So you're like, there's your save. And for all those cashing out that save, you just want to meet at the back. There is a concierge who will help you with that, and will live their dreams. But no, to this point, they've not. I call it the byproduct of brotherhoods. Like, they are ready to scuffle with anyone. I'm like, you don't have to. All right, so here you go, Jaden looking. You have the pass down the Tanny save with Promise waving. I don't know if you guys saw that. Promise was waving like, "Give me the ball." But save now. We got a corner coming up for Canada. Let's see if they can, if we can earn our two. Shmanyao coming up with the corner. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. Corner coming up. Nothing to Sawyer getting out there to try to bust up some of the counter. And here we go. And a free kick. No, nope, just a throw. Let's see what they're able to do. But yeah, as the game winds up, I agree. I agree. They really should have chipped it. I would hope so, But the one thing I think about with Dane is Dane's going for, and we're not blaming. I'm not gonna put it all on his team, but Dane went from Minnesota, which like Dane basically went from Brentford to playing with who's the best example of a team that just is every game is run and shoot. He went from Brentford to Brighton, like to use a terrible analogy. And so I think he's gonna have to really get accustomed to that space. He's really gonna have to get accustomed to that at Miami because they're not it's not defend, put the ball out to your boy, and then Tanny, and then let's pray they score a goal. Now, in Miami, it's up and they have the ball, and the chances are gonna be 1v. Yeah, 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 yeah. As I tell everyone, yeah, just subscribe to know when you're gonna see my face, or when you want to not see my face. Right. I think those are the best ways to subscribe to someone. Subscribe to them so you know when to avoid them or to join them. But yeah, we're definitely gonna try to do the Ireland game, and then we're gonna try to get a few other games in. I might do the Ghana Wales game tomorrow just because I know there's a lot of cousins that want their thoughts. Definitely, a lot of cousins want my thought. Yes, Lee Bunchwanyao look better in the midfield than Eustachio and Kone. I think Kone looked great in the first. Like the thing with Eustachio picks his spots because I feel like they've learned. Yes, yes, I will be doing another watch along. Um, I feel like Kone looked better. I think there are partners that complement each other well. Like for instance, I think Kone and Eustachio play well. I think Schwanyara and Kone play well. I don't know if Kone and Saliba always play well just because they both kind of want to occupy the same space. So I'd rather have one or the other. Ugh, another missed chance. Second half, they definitely look better, but it's hard to, like we said, hard to really judge them based off of this first game. The first half, you saw some of what could be, but then also you saw what could have been a problem with them. And if they're not healthy, it's gonna leak. It's gonna leak like a pipeline in, well, a space. And so that's where the concern is. Nelson. All right. Overlap, overlap. There we go. Nelson chipped in. Ah, he deserved that. Good second half from him. He deserved that goal. I know Promise should have had his, but the line change did their job. Okay. They added energy, right? The energy line came in and did they what's supposed to do. Jaden Nelson. He looks good. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. I think he's gonna make it because again, I say I'm watching Schaffelberg like a hawk. He hasn't trained yet. I think he's going I think he was gonna go over Schaffelberg, and now with no Marcelo, I think that opens a door for it. It's kind of like with the roster. Once the roster went to 9 defenders, I was like, "Oh, Sawyer's definitely making it." So, yep, 2-0 is the score. Jaden Nelson gets the second. Most definitely. Ralph Priest looking. Go get a third, boys. Go get a third. Make the fans go home happy. They're already wet. So it looks like it's gonna end 2-0. Nelson with the ball breaking. Nelson looking, chips, tries to chip it, promise, but here we go, another. And Nelson is just like, listen, listen, I'm a man of the people. And that is game. That is game. And that is the game. What a, that's a tale of two halves. That's what this game was. A tale of two halves. That's what this game was. All right. And we could see it even if you look at the match breakdown from it. Who's guys give me who's your man of the match of this game? And if there is a battle for the final spot, who's in the poll for you? Because I think we could all have good answers for that, but a tale of two halves. Definitely, the line change did its job. 2-0. Osorio and Jaden Nelson, both from Tanny. Tanny with 2 assists in the game. Well done, sir. Tanny coming in looking good. I it's a whole thing. Good W for the boys. Good W for the boys. 58th minute for Sawyer from Tanny, and then Tanny to Nelson, and then 90 plus one. This is who's your man of the match here? You got Nelson here. Yeah, second half looked a lot smoother. The second half looked a lot healthier. The second half looked like players who were playing regular minutes. And the first half, you had maybe half of the lineup look like that. And that's going to be the difficulty. I don't think they're going to look. I don't think Marsha's going to have to make a decision where he says, "Do I trust my healthy players, or do I go with the talent, quote unquote, and then see what they're able to do?" I think that's the question that's there. But yeah, leave your man of the match there. For sure, yeah, for how they played, 2-0 kinda felt like the right game. Yeah, I felt somehow 2-2 was gonna happen, and based off the chances they gave up in the first half, yeah, that defending that defending was off. Yeah, I agree, but that compared Coney to me looked the best in the first half. The best looking players for Canada in the first half to me were Kone, Liam Miller, and then Tajon. That's who actually got the ball. When the ball reached those feet, like I felt something positive was gonna happen. And Kone looked good. Liam Miller looked confident in his movement, and Tajon is always Tajon. But the problem was how they were reading the game versus how Laren, Joe David, they were disjointed in the first half. Stacchio, especially when he plays with Kone, tends to drift, like, and not even in a bad drift. He drifts into spots and then he also picks the spots because I feel like they have a better chemistry. Good night, Pedro. Always good. Yeah, we'll be back. Thanks for being here. Comment, like, comment, subscribe, notifications, thumbs up. But yeah, I think Kone and Eustachio will be fine. It's just making sure they're playing with forwards who can read that. No, I could see that. Kone misplaced pass to Saliba looked better. Tejan to me looked better than everyone in the first half. He was the only attacking threat. Yeah, I think your most consistent attacking threats, like if you look at their last year, is always Tajon. Tajon's the player you're like, look, Joe David could score, could not, but Tajon's going to go up and down that side with impunity, and he might miss a chance, he might score a chance, but he's always going to push there. I get that. Kone's passing wasn't great, but then to this point, whose passing was great in the first half? I think Kone's was better. I think Go Kone's passing was the best of, I think, a bad passing first half. If that's, the winner of the bottom of the hill, sure, but no one looked in sync. And then when it came to trying to connect with the attacking players, unless it was going to Tasia, if especially getting to the strikers, nothing was right, right? Kone was reading one pass, Joe David made a half run. Joe David made a full run, Kone made a half pass. Like that's a disjointness that needs to be fixed. And that's where you want to see it against, especially an Ireland side that'll come in and be like, yeah, actually, we will punish you. Right. The first half was bad, but then also had the signs that you're worried about, right? Giving up the 1v1s versus defenders, the one versus goalies versus defenders, Larea and Johnson pushing really high, real high, and then leaving a not fully fit Bombito to try to defend 1v1. You're asking for disaster, right? And so to me, the first half shows you what's wrong, but then it's also highlights how unhealthy they are. And factor in that, hey, okay, when Fonzie gets back, that's going to be another player who is going to be reading the game a certain way, but will everyone else read it that way, right? Because even when he was young, Davies would read passes that other people weren't seeing, and then you'd have a lot of okay, a half run here, but then Davies sees the through all there, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how they integrate a team like Marsh has to both simplify how he's playing, but they gotta be crisper and cleaner. Yeah, agreed. The best of an underachieving bunch. Players can't underachieve in the World Cup. It's the biggest stage in the world. You want players who either are too young and too naive to understand the grandeur of the stage. You take care, John Patrick, have a good evening. Or you want players who the moment will never be big enough, right? Or sorry, they'll never be smaller than the moment. Okay, and then you can have, like, where you want a player who's thinks he's bigger than the moment and then falls apart. That wasn't the missed penalty against Belgium, but that's like a moment where it's like, "Oh, I love that he has the confidence. I hate the penalty he took, but I love that he had the confidence." But 2-0 is the final score. Score is the final 2-0. Osorio in the 58th, Jaden Nelson in the 90th plus 1. And let's get through some of these stats here. Always a pleasure. See you guys on the next one. Let's run through these statistics here. Courtesy of Silva score 52 to 41, 48 possession. First half was 52-48. Second half was 52-48. Let's go second half stats before we go cumulative. Two big chances versus none. Seven total shots versus three. One goalkeeper save each. Five corners to two. Five fouls to four. Still the same amount of passes. Nine tackles for Canada, 12 for Uzbekistan, 4 to 5 free kicks, no yellows in the second. Right, Jaden Nelson, right footed shot on the low right. There we have Tajon with the miss in the third, Kyle Laren with the miss in the 30th, block shot by Liam Miller in the 41st. Tanny with a missed shot was again, he was trying out for the Elks for that one. Tanny with a missed shot in the 57th, 58th, Osorio with the goal, Nathan Saliba with a block shot in the 67th, Tanny in the 86th saved, Tanny with a block, and then Jaden Nelson with that opportunity there. Shots, 7 total shots, 3 shots on target, 2 shots off versus 1, 2 blocked to 1, shots inside versus shots outside. The shots outside is something I want them to really improve on because I feel like if they're gonna try to pass the ball, perfect, Sieberts, perfect. I'll show that. Oh, make sure you notifications. We'll be doing that. But my one thing I'll always say is shots outside, especially for a team like Canada who wants to try to pass their way into and then tapping and then poaching their way into the ball into the net. They need someone to just launch one. And like they I don't know if they have a player to do it, but they need that shot where then you force the defense basketball terminology. You need a shooter there that stretches the defense, that gives you more space for runs. And if you do that, then Joe David can eat. Then Tejan would eat. He would feast and the likes. But that's something I wish they could do a little bit better at in terms of those opportunities. Right within the attack, one big chance scored for Canada second half. One big chance missed. One offsides. That offsides. It could have been three. I think that was close. I think if they had VAR, they would take a look at it, or they would have let it go and then looked at it VAR wise. Most of their passes were in the middle, and they have to be much better in the final third. I think that's something that I really want to see them improve on. 180, 166, throw in 12s, cool, long balls, 47 to 50 duels, dispossessed 5 to 6. Again, the second half, they were swarming a lot better. I felt the second half, that Cole 11 was a lot healthier than that. And all eyes are going to be on health and fitness for the side. That's something that's something that we're going to watch. Goalkeeper saves one save per day in the second half, what he had, and it kind of sits there. So there it is 2-0. I think a tale of two halves. I think when you had fitter players in, certainly played a better role in terms of what they were able to do and how they looked. But hey, for the game that was fully just rotated, they could do far worse than the 2-0 win, right? Subs in the 30th minute, right? Just to go through all the lineups and all the moves, right? Luke de Fougerolles comes in the 31st minute with Nico Segur. Dane comes in at halftime with Osorio, Choignel, Saliba, Prizo, Tanny, Jaden, Nelson, Alfie Jones, and Promise David. So Alfie and Promise come in the 70th minute, and the only players who didn't see any game time were Joel Waterman and Ahmed and Owen Goodman, which, hey, I thought maybe I thought maybe when Dane came down, he's like, "I'll get my boy Owen into this game." But match ratings, I think Crepeau was the highest rated player. No, he is not. Interesting. If you look at Sofa Scores ratings, Crepeau with a 7.3. All right, goal scorers will get a boost. Alistair Johnson with a 7.0. DC with a 7.2. Joe Davin and Kone with a 7.0. Kyle Larin didn't rate well according to SofaScore. We'll take a look at that in a second. And then Luc de Fougerolles with a 7.4. Yep. Osorio with a 7.8. Nelson with a 7.8. The goal boost goes a long way. But then Tanny with 2 assists with a 7.3. I think that goes a long way. And I think it really turns it into like, what did we actually learn? To me, that's the question. Like, what did we actually learn in a game where we were just running it through? This felt like watching a with with all due respect, this felt like I was watching like a U Sports game where it's like, okay, subs in the 7th minute. Okay, cool, let's good. Something, let's make these subs, let's change it up and let's go. What did I learn? I learned that again, with the more fit side, or I'm sorry, with the more preferred side, the style of play leaves them open and susceptible to chances, to transition breaks. And again, not Schwanyel, Max Capo saves them twice. One is the offsides, but he's had to make a 1v1 save. And that's a style that's going to be there. If you think watching Jesse Marsh ball is going to give you non-transition chances against you, listen, just like there's always a red in the women's side, like there is always going to be a breakaway. That's the world we live in. Sit in it, get comfortable in it. this is the hand that you're being given, not dealt. You're gonna hold on to that hand. So I think if that's the case, who do you trust in those situations? And I think Marshall's gonna have to figure that out. I think Max didn't do anything to hurt himself in these situations. The second half, I think the healthier team made a we had one commenter say that they were better defensively. Yeah, a good defense is not being in defense. They were transitioning. They were a healthier team. They were hungrier. They moved better. The first half offensively looked like half the players who had played a full season and were full of confidence, and then the other half were either injured or weren't reading the game well. Either way, that that group needs to get fit, or they need to integrate more fit players into that group so that they don't have situations like that. Other things I learned: Priso and Nelson. The one factor that's going to come in with this game is if players aren't healthy, and we said this at the beginning, I'll say this again. You can drop players off your roster due to injuries up to a day before your first match, which means Jesse Marsh really is giving himself 11, well, really 10 days to see if he can get Jacob Schaffelberg up to match fitness, Ali Ahmed up to match fitness, Moise Bombito up to match fitness, and unfortunately, we lost Marcelo Flores, which means you could have up to 4 spots available. And I think your first 2 are definitely Nelson and Priso. And then so when you do that, I think those 2 did well for themselves to really showcase how deep they were, and they were playing with energy. Priso was stepping up, and Priso gives you that versatility aspect in terms of he has the pace to be a fullback. He's naturally a CDM, and he's transitioned a bit more to a center back, which means, like, for the Canadians out there, he's basically male Janine Becky. Like, all he needs now is to play as a winger, somehow play as a 10, and he's male Janine Becky. I mean, we don't appreciate Janine Stonis that much, but we should appreciate her more. That's another whole conversation. Nelson, I think, playing style doesn't have the flair of a Marcelo Flores, but a, a winger who drifts into the middle, a winger who plays more like an 8 to 10, yeah, in the 8-7-10 triangle, I think that helps a lot. I think that would be someone who would help his plot very well. And so those 2 definitely pushed well, and I would say after that, it would not surprise me if, like, an if a player like Junior Hoilett factored back in because, hey, doesn't hurt to have another set piece taker, another player like that. I'd say those 3, if 3 aren't fully fit, coming through. We're definitely going to be watching that. Um, that play style matters. It's very chaos merchant style, but they got the job done at the end of the day. They got the win, sent everyone home happy. They were already wet, so you might as well make me happy on the way home. But up next for Canada is Ireland. And I think if they can push more minutes out of their starters, their preferred starters, I think that will go a long way to really solidifying how we feel about this team getting ready for the Bosnia matchup. But 2-0 is the score. Osorio in the 58th, and then our gentleman Jaden Nelson in the 90th +1. Canada beats Uzbekistan nearly 10 years to the date that they played Uzbekistan the first time. They won that game 2-1. This game they won 2-0. And let me actually check who Uzbekistan has next. Because Canada has Ireland on Friday in Montreal, and then Uzbekistan has they have the Netherlands next week, Monday, before. So definitely a step up in competition for both sides. Uzbekistan, I mean, the one thing I will say about them is that first half, Canada gave them opportunities to really take a stranglehold of the game, and they just weren't able to. That chip miss that was there off of the 1v keeper, that's a miss that goes back to haunt you. You gotta finish those. You only get so many chances at this level. If you're not putting them on target, what are we doing? And that's one that's gonna suck because maybe that changes the flow of the game, but that pushes them further back, and maybe that gets Canada to be a little bit more locked in, but they just couldn't. But they gave Uzbekistan chances to put Canada into a deficit, but Uzbekistan were not able to convert on them. And conversely, when Canada finally put their chances away, they just looked livelier and better in the second half. So Uzbekistan were kind of what I expected. Canada was far worse, far poorer than I anticipated. But then match day fitness lacking, rehab coming back from injury, missing injuries, rehabbing, all those things missing leaves you where it is. That's the game that you play. For me, I think player of the match. I think the first half you say it's definitely a player like I give it to Max in the first half. I think in the first half, like we said, the players who were actually match fit and were coming off of good seasons looked the best. Tejan, Kone, Liam, I thought those 3 looked the most confident on the ball. Passing, again, the front line was not quite in sync with that, and they really struggled to get the ball moving and figuring that out. So first half, those were my standouts. Second half, I mean, Osorio, Schwanya were all making the right runs. Turnovers were happening. They're getting the ball in the middle, and then the transition was there. The right space was being filled, and then putting shots on frame. It was a slick game. I definitely the pitch played a role into it, but it was a slick pitch. So in games like that, pepper it. Skip the ball off the fence. It's gonna slide. Your touch won't be as crisp as you want it. Your weight won't be there. You'll have to measure that throughout the game and figure that out. And I felt the second group was able to do that. And you sometimes that's just a reality. Your second group just has a better feel for how the game is supposed to go. But it's 2-0. That's the game. I will probably do some sort of recap of this later, but also just shout out to my boy on the rise who will have a recap up if you're looking for that on the rise. Canadian football, look out for that. We're gonna wrap up our live here. Watch along. Thank you everyone for being here. We do appreciate you. Again, if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so you hear from my next video or my next live. Or hit the like button and subscribe to our notifications so you know where I am there so you can avoid me. One of the two things, right? If you want to see me, subscribe. If you don't want to see me, turn on notifications so you can avoid me. Regardless, guys, have a great night. Canada wins 2-0. And yeah, as always, I'm a